Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Alexi Iafrato here with Kevin Duffy, our Patriots beat writer. We're here in Gillette Stadium to talk about the Patriots' potential game plan ahead of tonight's highly anticipated NFL draft. Now, Kevin, we both know the Patriots have some serious gaps they need to fill, so they're going to need all the picks they can get. Now, they lucked out. They have 12 picks, tied with the Giants for the most in the league. Leave it to them to top another list. So what do you think their game plan is going to be going into tonight? Do you think that they're going to need to patch up some holes with Brady and arming him with weapons that can stretch the field? I mean, another thing we have to consider is they may not pick the first round. They may defer. So what do you think their game plan is going to be heading into tonight?
Tonight, I think they're going to take the best player available. I know there's been a lot of talk about they could trade down, and yes, I guess that's always a possibility with Belichick, but they have, as you said, they have 12 picks. They have 6 in the top 3 rounds. They don't really need to accumulate more picks for this draft. It's possible if someone comes in the end of the first round and offers a 2020 first-round pick,
right,
maybe then they trade into next year, but I think they're going to make the pick at 32.
You too. And who do you think that they're going to pick?
I think they could go a number of directions. As you said, like the weapon situation for Brady is not great. I mean, you have Edelman, you re-signed Philip Dorsett, who's shown flashes.
Right.
Demaryius Thomas, who knows what to expect with him. He's going to be 7 months removed from an Achilles tear when training camp opens.
Right.
And Josh Gordon remains indefinitely suspended. Plus, you have Gronk retiring. You bring in Safarian Jenkins, who's, I think, a talented player, but he's never played more than 10 games in a season.
Yes,
so
that's a huge concern.
They definitely need to upgrade their pass catching core. It's a matter of when they do it. Do they do it at 32? Do they try to trade for a veteran? I think that's still in play. If you can get an established veteran receiver or tight end for maybe a second or third round pick, that might be a route you want to go. So there's a bunch of different directions, and that's only the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
There's a lot of things they could do on defense too.
Right. And so do you think they could pick a wide receiver? I know they haven't done it in 9 years with Belichick, but do you think that this would be the time to end the drought? Do you think it would be a good move, a smart move?
Yeah, for the right player, I think. I mean, they have never picked a receiver under Bill Belichick. They're the only team since 2000 that's never picked a receiver in the first round, but they've never really been in this dire of a situation, I think, at wide receiver heading into the draft. So it would make plenty of sense if someone like Marquise Brown is there, who it's like kind of a Tyreek Hill field stretcher, just looked like he was playing at a different speed than a lot of college players.
Right.
If he's there at 32, A.J. Brown's a big slot guy, 6'1", 230 from Ole Miss. And even someone like Paris Campbell, who's another slot receiver from Ohio State, I think those guys could all be in play at 32 for them.
And besides a wide receiver, we talk about tight ends too. I mean, Gronk left a huge Gronk-sized void. So do you think that that could be an option they could go for also?
Yeah, that one's tricky because the guy that they would target is T.J. Hawkinson from Iowa, but he's probably not going to be there at 32. Right. So then you want to go with his teammate Noah Fant, who's not necessarily – Hawkinson's in the Gronkowski mold, whereas he's an inline tight end who's a pretty good receiver downfield. He'll block. He'll contribute in multiple ways. Noah Fant is more of just a straight pass-catching tight end, so he may be there at 32, but he's in mock drafts. He's really coming off the board in the mid-20s, so he could be a player. I mean, he's really athletic. Right. One of the most athletic tight ends to come out in recent years. So if he drops to, say, 25, 26, and the Pats want to move up, they could do that for a player like Noah Fant. I just don't know if Hawkinson is realistic right now going into tonight.
Right. And moving past just the first round, the Patriots have 6 picks in the top 101. Which other slots do you think they're going to be actively looking to fill?
I think everything pretty much is in play. Offensive tackle is a big need. You have Isaiah Wynn slotted in at the left tackle coming off an Achilles injury. You have Marcus Cannon on the right side, who's 30 years old and getting up there, and they don't really even have a established number 3 tackle. So I know, although they went O-tackle in last year's draft in the first round, I think they could go, second round pick, first round pick, third round pick at that position again. Defensively, the D-line has experienced some turnover. I think that's a position of need. The only positions I would be surprised that they went with high in the draft would be cornerback and running back. After taking Sony Michel in the first round, I think there's really no need to take running back very high in this draft.
Right. I mean, there's so many options. It's so unpredictable. I mean, you just never know. Let's switch gears here. I know Patriots Nation, you're going to hate me for this, but we have to talk about it. Quarterbacks. Grooming a quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention quarterback.
Tom Brady's biological clock, it's ticking. I know we all want to say it's not, and we want to try to act like it's not happening, but it is. He says his magic number is 45, but we never truly know when he's going to hang it up. So we have to be realistic, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was never a believer that he would actually get to 45, but after last year's playoff run, I left that saying, I don't know, this guy can play for as long as he wants to.
He can play till 50 if he wanted. Who knows?
So I think even if he's going to go to till 40, 44, 45 even, now's the time where you have to start thinking about it. They passed on it last year, and that was fine. I don't think they really were in love with any of the prospects at the top of the draft last year. But what they had in 2014 was a perfect succession plan in place with Jimmy Garoppolo.
They did.
And Garoppolo sat for 2 years. He learned behind Brady for both of those seasons. And by year 3, when he had to play during the Deflategate suspension, it was clear that Garoppolo was ready to become an NFL starting quarterback. So if they want to mimic that timeline, I think now's the time to draft someone. You sit him for 2 years behind Brady, and then you have that player transition to become the starter in 2021. And that's not to say that that's the only way to do it, because you don't necessarily need to sit for 2 years. But looking at the way Garoppolo played after having a lot of practice, even looking at someone like Patrick Mahomes last year, who sat for a season, learned, and then came in and won MVP, that's the route I think the Patriots are going to go with their next quarterback. I think they're going to want to groom a rookie for at least 1 or 2 seasons.
Absolutely. I mean, their offense is so complex. You can't just jump in there and go straight for it. I mean, you could, maybe. Who knows?
If they move on from Brady with a veteran quarterback, which is a possibility, but I think that this draft they will come away with someone in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, and I think like a Brady, they want to groom someone and pull them through the ranks and really show them the ropes before they throw them in the line of fire. I mean, whoever it is going to have a lot to live up to. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be tricky for them.
That's going to be a tough job.
Yeah. So switching to the other side of the ball, I know this is something that a lot of people think isn't as urgent. I still think it's worth talking about, the defensive line. So, I mean, at the end of the last regular season, they were one of the worst in the league. So do you think bolstering up that front 4 is a high priority, middle of the road, or not really something that we should be concerned about?
No, it's up there. I would put defensive lineman up there with offensive tackle, with wide receiver, with tight end as positions that they definitely could target, and it wouldn't surprise anyone with their first-round pick. Yeah, I mean, they were at the bottom of the league. They had the worst run defense in the Bill Belichick era last year, and obviously didn't really matter too much. They won the Super Bowl. It's just, it is worth pointing out, though, the Rams and the Chiefs also had the 2 other worst run defenses, and those were 3 of the best teams in the league. So I don't know if that stat, the way the game is going, is as important. But on the D-line, they've just lost a lot of pieces. Trey Flowers to Detroit, Malcolm Brown to New Orleans. Danny Shelton hasn't been re-signed.
Big
losses. They have a lot of moving parts, and especially on the interior, you have Lawrence Guy, who's really good, but is in his late 20s. You signed Mike Pennell from the Jets, who's a 335-pounder. Run stuffer, but he's 30 years old. And then you have Adam Butler, an ascending 3rd-year player, and you don't really have much else besides that. Michael Bennett probably will play inside a little bit, but anyway, they need to add a player there. Bill Belichick has taken a defensive tackle 5 times in the first round since becoming the coach of the Pats, so that's the pattern. He likes targeting that position early, and I think that that's certainly an option tonight.
There's a lot of unknowns with the draft. You just never know what's going to happen, especially with a team like the Patriots. So what do you think would constitute as a big shock to the draft system tonight?
I think if they I mean, they're not taking a running back, but taking a running back in the
first
round. You
never know with Bill Belichick. He could pull it out.
That would be borderline insane. Taking even a cornerback, and I know there's a lot of good players that they probably like at that position. And I think if it gets to that point, that's where you start to have the debate of drafting for need or drafting best player available. If the best player on their board is a corner, because they really don't need one right now. Stephon Gilmore was an All-Pro. He's in the mix for the next couple of years. J.C. Jackson looked like a future All-Pro. I mean, toward the end of last season.
Absolutely.
So they're locked in there. They're all set with John Jones, and Jason McCourty's back on a 2-year contract. So and plus they drafted Duke Dawson in the 2nd round last year. They really don't need a corner. So I think if they come away with a running back or corner, and even an interior offensive lineman, that might surprise me. Other than that, I'm open to literally any position tonight. Anything could happen.
I mean, anything truly can happen, especially with Bill Belichick, who we were just talking about, loves to throw a curveball into anything. Wrong sport, but it's true. He does like to do that. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to everyone at home for watching. Comment in the comment section below and let us know what you think Bill Belichick's going to do tonight.